certainly.
You're in order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Holt, earlier this week, in addition to what we've already covered, you stated that the language for the protected class for transgendered folks is not needed because they are protected by the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause and the Equal Protection Clause in the state constitution. Is that correct?
Representative Meyer, I'm not going to go down the hypothetical road that you're trying to go down. You feel free to make the points that you want to make. I will tell you right now that I think the only question that needs to be answered in this debate is why those opposed to this legislation are okay with a man's feelings erasing the biological reality of being a woman in the state of Iowa. Anything else you have to talk about, feel free to make your points.
Representative Holt, I'm trying to make a record here because the Supreme Court's going to look at this. They do it all the time. This is your bill. This is your opportunity to make the record. You stated earlier this week that a protected class is not needed because they are covered by the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment and the Equal Protection Clause in the Iowa Constitution. Did you not say that?
I have answered your question, Representative Meyer.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Hold on, Representative Meyer. It's somebody. Oh, I apologize. Please refrain from engaging in debate from the gallery. Representative Meyer, I apologize. You still have time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Holt, you stated earlier what I just stated, which that this protected class language is not needed because they are protected by the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution. You mentioned multiple times the Bostock decision. You also mentioned multiple times that they're protected by the Equal Protection Clauses in the Iowa Constitution. And if that is the case, and I believe it to be the case, we are down this road, and you are stripping transgender people of their protected rights, rights that they've had for 18 years, 19 years, however long Beth's been here, or Representative Wessel-Krichel's been here. But here's my point. You made those statements. I agree with you. I believe they are covered by the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. I believe they are covered by the Equal Protection Clauses in the Iowa Constitution. And if that is the case, you would then agree that they have a fundamental right to live as the rest of us do. Is that fair to say?
I've answered your question, Representative Meyer. You feel free to make the legal points you would like to make.
Is it fair to say then that this would be covered and analyzed if that is a fundamental right under strict scrutiny, and that there would have to be a compelling government interest to do what you are doing today, and that this legislation would have to be narrowly tailored to that compelling government interest? Is that fair to say?
Representative Meyer, you feel free to lawyer yourself to death and make the points you would like to make. I'm not going to engage with you on it. Lawyers love to be lawyers. You go do your lawyer thing. I have answered your question.
Okay. It's your bill. I'm asking what your intent is. I'm restating what you said earlier this week and what you loved to state earlier this week. I will say this, that even if this is analyzed and it's not considered a fundamental right, even though I believe it's a fundamental right, I think most people in this room believe it's a fundamental right to be treated the same as everybody else. And your lack of denial of that is confirmation that it is a fundamental right. But let's say hypothetically that it is not a fundamental right. What is the rational basis? The way you wrote this appears to have no rational basis behind whether or not somebody can be kicked out of their house, their rental unit, because they happen to be transgender. After you pass this bill today, that is completely a legitimate reason to kick somebody out of housing, isn't it, Representative Holt?
I do not concur with your conclusions, and I will say this to you again, Representative Meyer. Lawyer yourself to death. I am not going to engage in a gotcha conversation that you're trying to have. You make your points. You make all the points you want to make. I know you think you're the smartest lawyer in the room.
I do not.
I'm not going to engage in this conversation with you, Representative Meyer. I have answered your question.
Representative Holt, I did not point of order you on that. I do not believe that I am the smartest person in this
I have answered your question, Representative
I'm
Meyer.
asking questions. This is your bill. Th-